Welcome to Business Morning. It's Thursday, the 23rd of May. I'm Bosin Namafai, and we welcome our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world. Let's get the show started. The clock is ticking to the final 48 hours for haulage trucks and pinto tankers to vacate all Apapa access roads on President Buhari's order, which he issued on Wednesday. Analysts say Nigeria may see its foreign trade saving a whopping $16 billion if the president's directive of 2 weeks clearance of Apapa Port's gridlock is firmly implemented. That's the big story that everyone is looking at, how to clear up this mess in one of Africa's largest seaports, sitting in Nigeria's financial capital, Lagos. On the back of that, the outgoing administration of Governor Abiola Ajimobi of Oyo State has inked a 35.9 billion naira deal with relevant government agencies to build an inland dry port in Ibadan, the state capital. Oyo State government is looking to benefit from the easing of traffic gridlock, seaport gridlock in Lagos, the Apapa end of the Lagos highway. So some of those cargoes may be heading to Ibadan as using that as an inland dry port. A similar dry port has been built in some parts of the north, including Kaduna. And that's part of cleaning up the mess that Nigeria's Apapa seaports had become. Meantime, the Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, was in the University of Benin on Wednesday, and he continued to re-emphasize or underscore the need for the country to prepare for the next global economic crisis, taking his soundbite from the just concluded World Bank IMF summit, asking all central bankers and policymakers to be on a standby because there could be a recession or global economic turmoil just ahead. He also outlined the central bank's monetary policy focus for his second term and the much-needed fiscal cooperation. Meantime, all of you who are owing Access Bank, of course, if you're one of those that the bank called incorrigible debtors, I'm sure by now you know yourself. So the commercial bank today issued a public notice on what is called the recovery of delinquent credit facilities in the bank, including those who are owing the acquired Diamond Bank PLC. Access Bank is says it's going to publish the debtors' names in the newspapers in 2 weeks' time and relentlessly pursue the full recovery of debts. According to the full advertorial, Access Bank says debtors will be sanctioned by the central bank, and you need to listen carefully. They will be banned from the foreign exchange market, as well as being banned from the securities exchange markets, which might include stocks, bonds, and treasury bills, whatever, and their names will be registered or listed on the Credit Risk Management Systems Bureau, the CRMS, as debtors. Access Bank says the lender will ensure, quote, all incorrigible debtors are excommunicated from the banking system in Nigeria. Very strong words there. You want to read that up? It's one of the dailies for today. Meantime, the London Stock Exchange is on roadshow across Africa, seeking listing of African companies to increase the current 115 African companies that are listed on the London Stock Exchange. The LSE Group says it's seeking partnerships with key markets like Nigeria and Kenya to help secure more of our companies to be listed in London. The visits planned for Nairobi and Luanda, that's the Angolan capital, to look at the Angolan companies. Of course, that's one of Africa's oil-rich economies. And of course, there will be stopovers or roadshows also planned for Abidjan, the Ivorian capital, for the BRVM, Cairo in Egypt, and next door in Casablanca in Morocco. And yesterday afternoon, the Nigerian Stock Exchange released 5 new Securities and Exchange Commission's approved rules on free float, price stabilization of securities, listing on the growth board, release calendar for regulatory announcements and filings, as well as the rules on securities transactions between dealing members. All of that is already in our news, and we'll be pouring over those 5 new rules approved by the SEC. They will be unveiled. They are already unveiled about, of course, published that the implementation, at least with the free float, starts on June the 3rd, all the way through to September for those 5 rules. So let's get Temple Ashaji to come in here for a few minutes to take us. Yes, the stock market is rallying new levels we've never seen since 2019 actually started, but market sentiment is still very bearish if you consider the market breadth in terms of the gainers and the losers. Well, thank you, MTN and Dangote Cement, for giving us those very key indices on the counters. Temple, take it away from here. Good morning.
Good morning, Bosun. Yes, the investor sentiment is still very, very bearish, because if you look at the market breadth of the entire trading or transaction that we saw yesterday, it was really negative. We got only 12 gainers, and then you have 27 laggards in the market. Well, you thanked MTN and Dangote Cement. I think you should also thank GlaxoSmithKline, Bosun, because GlaxoSmithKline also rose by more than 0.5% of the limits that we have in the market yesterday, and of course contributed to the gains that we saw in the system. But basically, we're back again to the 31,000 psychological line, and that's something that a lot of investors and traders here in the market are really positive about. So we saw the positive streak, extending to the 5th consecutive trading session. It tells you that we are really, really positive in terms of transactions on MTN, and of course Dangote Cement, which is in its 3rd trading session of positive at this point in time. But when you look at the activity level yesterday, was a little bit negative in terms of the volume of transactions, which came lower by 12%. The value of transaction was just 2%. Of course, a total of 408.31 billion naira was what was added to the equity capitalization yesterday, which looks like we're heading towards 14 trillion naira now. I mean, that's a mark that the market hasn't touched in a while. So if you look again, the volume shockers that we had in the market yesterday, I mean, MTN was a major one there, was up by some 9.98% again yesterday. We saw 93 million units of its shares traded, and of course that was for a value of 13.58 billion naira, which also explains this level of sentiment that we've been talking about all along, because of the 17.46 billion naira that we recorded yesterday, MTN alone accounted for whopping 13.58 billion naira yesterday in the market. Performance across sectors was largely bearish. It was only the industrial goods segment of the market that was positive, thanks to MTN, to Dangote Cement rather, one more time. That was up by some 9.73%. If we move on to the unlisted securities markets, things were flat there yesterday. There wasn't so much of movement because the interest now is in the equity market, and that's why the USI wasn't changed. For the bonds market and of course the treasury bill side of the market, what you call fixed income side of things, investors yesterday focused more on the bond auction from DMO, which of course got over 271% of a subscription in total. But when you look at treasury bill side of things, there was still that element of bullish sentiment on that side of the market, Bosun.
Yes, Temple, quite interesting. Yes, we'll say thank you to everyone who's contributed to the market. Big jump. But of course, the two elephants now head to head on your market street. Dangote Cement on one hand, who was the title holder, and now the challenger, MTN. Of course, in two different industries, but anybody on the street sees the shares of Dangote Cement or MTN, they're going to pick it up and put it in their back pocket. So I'm sure you understand that. Everyone's looking for those companies. Highly priced, they're very sweet companies doing big business in cement and telecommunications. Well, you can have both worlds, can't you? Yes, you can. See you later, Temple. Let's see a bit of other stories here. The U.S. is still working with a lot of issues around the world when it comes to trade wars and all that. But with Nigeria, is looking to secure a stronger relationship. And that's what the first U.S. trade fair was all about. So let's take a quick listen to the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, Stott Symington, what he told the audience at the fair, kicking it off 2 days ago. Take a listen.
Here's the way you slice the opportunities. Will this world of free women and free men who believe in freedom, not just of opportunity, not just of selfish gain for you, but of a world made better because of you. Will we move forward together? That's the question. And it's not about quarterly profits. It's not even about how big your bonus is going to be at the end of the year. It's not even going to be will you be one of those firms that keeps upping your dividend for 20 or 30 or 40 years? Nope, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than us. It is all of us. That's what's at stake here today. Now, Bismarck said, we got to keep working to get the policy right. That's true. You know who has to make the policy right? Who do you think has to make the policy right? We. That's it. Nigeria is a strange place in one respect. Then I thought of England and I realized I know at least a couple more. It's a place where every woman and every man is both a citizen and a subject. More so in some kingdoms than others. But it is in the heart of that citizen, and in the mind, and in the connection between the beats of that heart and the firing of the synapses in that mind and all the rest, that the future will be defined. And a great deal of it will be defined here. The way that you make policy work is for the citizens to press up and insist, and for the leaders to understand that they are, in democracies, not put there for life or even on good behavior, but sustained in their position at the wheel, at the tiller, every day by all of you. Sometimes when I talk to people from Nigeria about the way forward, I talk about leadership and the need for people to support them, and they say, oh yeah, Nigeria, we have great leaders and we have great followers. And I said, well, I wasn't talking about followers. I was talking about citizens, about free men and free women who actually lead from your chairs, from your hearts, from your efforts, regardless of where you're sitting. That is what will drive Nigeria, Africa, and the world of free women and men forward. It will be leadership from citizens. But how are you going to do it? And the answer is you're going to do it one interchange, one sale, one product at a time. This will come as a surprise to the business women and men here. But there are an awful lot of people who somehow think that profit is a four-letter word. I'm not making this up. That somehow it is better to do something without the notion of a profit that will sustain it, because it comes from the goodness of your heart and not because you desire to put a little bit more in your wallet. But for all you businesswomen and men, here is the challenge. This is Nigeria's great challenge. It is to create goods and services here in Nigeria that are worth more than they cost, that are true world-class products at world-class prices with world-class quality. Then it is to capture the Nigerian market.
U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Stuart Simington. We'll talk about the commodities, some of those products you talked about, and the bigger story for consumers in just a minute.